Who I'm talking to, but as far as one of the things elderly are preyed upon when it comes to this kind of stuff, is that what made you really want to bring Luke out here for the event?
Well, I wanted to share facts that it's not just the elderly that are preyed upon. That, as he shared early in his presentation, that's actually a misconception. And so he shared in his slides in this presentation that is a misconception. And he shared who are those who normally get scammed. And it was interesting how he said those who are scammed have usually been scammed before. So repeat scam. Yeah, and he cleared up that misconception. But I did want to provide knowledge so that they can advocate for themselves against these phone calls, against the letters, if they are using emails, against these false emails. And he provided an example of what a false email may look like, those telltale signs when there's no sender, and things like that, misspellings. And so I wanted to provide that knowledge because in the business world and in your personal world, scamming and frauds are becoming more prevalent daily. A lot of my folks won't even answer their phones because it's just scam call after scam call. And I want them to know how to protect themselves. How to not even get caught up and have to figure out how to get out of it, but how to protect and stand up and advocate for themselves.
And just looking out of the parking lot, there's a lot. This is an issue that is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. Do you think that's why they came out? Because everybody's been impacted. Like you just said, it's not just the elderly, it's everybody. Do you think that's what brought so many people here today?
I do, and I think as we ask them to come back for other presentations, that this will grow. Miss Valerie from Cornerstone came recently and gave her insight on scams as far as like when you get letters from Medicaid or Medicare, they look like they're really from them, but at the bottom in really tiny fine print it'll say not affiliated or not part of, but it's in such small writing that most people with any lack of eyesight or any needing glasses or assistance with vision, they're not going to be able to read that small print. So she came a few weeks ago and provided us with information on scams and frauds directly associated with those mailings and phone calls from other organizations claiming to be Medicare or Medicaid related. So I will be looking for other organizations to come here to provide even more insight on specialized areas of where the scams and frauds are more prevalent. It is near and dear to so many. I have a mother who is part of the aging community and just hit that age where she's getting those mailers from health cares, and it is ridiculous the amount of mail that is sent to her and phone calls she's getting. In just the last 6 months, it's revved up on saying, oh, give us this information, you can get $40 more on your food nutrition benefits card if we can get this information. The Department of Social Services is not going to call and offer that. They're going to send you a letter. And so all of this is really needed for everyone. Young children, those young aged, the children that are moving into the electronic world, the teenagers, everyone needs this because no one is. A scam can happen to anybody. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
And they're getting more insidious. I mean, they'll trick even the young folks.
Yeah, I always say if the scammers use their knowledge for good, man, what a place we would be in.
Yep.
But their energy is spent on finding more deceptive ways to trick the population, and it's not just in the aging community. It's the population spans from time that they can pick up a phone device and log on all the way up. So we all need this education. And these programs, yes, we are a senior center, but these advocacy programs like this are not just for those 55 and up. I encourage caregivers, community, those who are not yet even close to being in the aging community, come, take part in these. We want everyone to receive this education.
I think that's a great way to wrap it up.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Don't do this. Multi-factor authentication is really good with online accounts. That's where you have to do a little extra step to log into something. So some of your accounts might have this where when you log into your bank, you get a text message and you have to enter the number, those kinds of things. Or you enter your Facebook account, they'll send you an email and you have to put the code in. Those are great tools just to add an extra layer of security. I have to do it every time I sign into my state email address. It is really obnoxious that I have to go into an app every time that I go into my email address and fill it out. that is much easier than if I were to lose my email address and try to figure out how to get that back. So I cannot recommend that enough. We'll skip over this in the interest of time. And then just a little bit about payment prevention tips, and then I'll open it up if anybody has any questions. In general, skepticism, I think, is a good thing here. Our office recommends, specifically, and I'll jump to point 3 now because it's kind of where I'm going right here. A lot of younger people these days are using these apps specifically, so like your grandkids might be using these apps. Zelle, PayPal, Venmo, those kinds of things. So those are apps where you can send money to somebody else that's linked to your bank account. I do it all the time, so I pay rent to my roommates. Those apps are actually really safe as long as you know where you're sending the money to. Because if somebody Venmos you, which is one of those apps, money, and you don't know who they are, there's really not a way to get that money back from them, because it's the same way as if I came up to you and gave you $50 in cash, walked away, and then came back 2 weeks later and said, hey, can I have my $50 back? Yeah, that's not yours. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get $50. Those are really safe and secure apps as long as you know who you're sending the money to. And then lastly, avoiding debit cards, not because they're not safe, but because there's a little bit more flexibility in terms of if there was ever to be something that happened to your account. Credit cards give you that time to dispute the charges. So if your debit card gets stolen and somebody spends $500 on it, if you have those limits with your bank, you can get that money back after a period of time. But if you only have $600 in your account, before you get that money back, you're only down to $100. Since credit cards only get billed monthly, you have a month to, depending on when your date is, to figure it out, to contact the company, to get it disputed, and to get a new card. And then just lastly, just a massive red flag. If anybody ever tries to get you to pay via gift cards, it is most likely a scam. The only time you should use a gift card to pay is if you have a gift card that you want to use. So if you get a gift card for Christmas, or you just have a gift card that's sitting in your wallet that you're going to check every 6 months just to make sure all of your stuff is good, and you notice, oh, I have a Target, I have a gift card to Walmart in here. I'm going to spend it. That's the only time you should use gift cards. And then just a lot of that specifically I've already talked about, just everyday prevention tips. I will just point out just the last 2 points here. Ask a friend if you're ever in doubt. Like I said, I think these conversations are what are helpful to avoiding these kinds of things, to hear the experiences of others when they say, oh, I got scammed XYZ. This happened to me. And so having those conversations so you can look out for it and also know what's going on in your community. I was in Greensboro 2 weeks ago and found out that there was somebody who was pretending to be the Alamance County Sheriff's Office, was calling people, telling them that they missed jury duty. And somebody brought that up at the presentation, and everybody in the room was like, wait, they called me last week too. And I realized that they've been calling everybody. They've been going through a phone book of something somewhere, and everybody had gotten that call. So talking to people about these things, because if that person next week gets the call, they're going to know good and well that the sheriff's not going to call you about jury duty. They're going to write you, and it's also going to be the clerk's call. So these are some of the numbers and links that I talked about. Like I said, I have these wonderful little handout cards right here, which has all of these like numbers on them. So if you want them, I'll have them right here. So if anybody just didn't take time to write anything down, didn't get a picture of anything, have them right here. Happy to give them to you. And with that, I will answer the questions that you might have.
Okay, I got one.
We got a bunch of, yes.
The Facebook.
Yep.
Okay, Facebook sends me like a message on Facebook user account. No, Facebook username.
Okay.
But I can't delete it. It won't let me.
It sends you, so like an email message, or getting a message?
Something for me to, like a message, like in Messenger.
Okay, so it's in Messenger.
Right.
And you're getting it, you say from, so it says
Right.
Facebook user.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you are getting a message from somebody on Facebook whose account is private and you're not friends with. So that's somebody who has their account turned on to privacy settings where it says you can't share any information with somebody, which is what admittedly I have my account on. You can only share information if I'm sending it to a friend. That means that somebody's trying to message you who, I mean, whether they're real or not, I don't know if they're a spam person or not, but that just means that somebody whose privacy says, I'm not going to share any information on Facebook unless we're friends, is trying to send you a message. That's what that means. So I would be skeptical of it. That's just me. I will say you can always, like Facebook, when you have it set to like accept messages before you like actually open them. Like, I think it is okay to just like to accept the message to see what the message is in case it is a real person. But then you can always go in and delete it afterward or report it. Those kinds of things. So, yeah, yes, sir.
I have on my telephone right now 2 voicemails from Publishers Clearing House. The first one was a female saying that I needed to change my day of delivery. The second one was I needed to get in touch with my provider. And supposedly one time be the notes. But of course, I was going to call Publishers Clearing House and report it. That's what I've done in the past. But I just got it yesterday.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd just call and let them know what's going on.
Send it to us. I mean, sorry to disappoint you. I don't think you won $5 million.
Well, I wouldn't put it on it.
Well, Steve Harvey be on the TV at somebody's house.
I mean, people,
Well, that's on TV.
people win it. I watch a TV show that has dragons in it. Like, I mean, people do get it, but I would like usually.
If you put 5 million.
If you have, yeah.
Coming to your house.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
You don't see it on
Well, if
TV?
Steve Harvey shows up at your house, then like I would say, all right, this seems pretty real. But yeah. Other questions?
But they physically show
Okay, now now I got a scam this morning before I came, to the cell. Okay, I didn't answer, and and constantly, it's about, I usually get about 3 or 4, I get a bunch of them.
Right in the same period of time.
And I blocked them, but how in the world can get other people's numbers and then they call right back from somebody else being, calling?
I mean,
And that is so aggravating.
I know it is, and
Yes, yes.
I know it's not the easiest thing in the world, but the best thing you can do is just keep blocking them.
Okay.
Because eventually, here's the
It's
thing.
aggravating.
Eventually, they're going to realize that they don't want to waste any more time with you, because they want to find there's a term that I took a class on like history of spying years ago when I was at NC State called a useful idiot. Which is somebody who can be useful to somebody else just by being gullible or being willing to engage with stuff. They're going to realize you're not a useful idiot if you're not responding to things, and they're going to say, "I'll pick somebody else to call." So I mean, I know it's annoying. I get them too. You just kind of got to keep blocking
And then I
them.
also get them on my cell phone too.
Yeah. It is annoying. You can send them to our office. Like I said, we can look and just see, like, did we discover a pattern of this? Are we noticing that they're all coming from the same area code? Are these actual people from that place? Or are they faking their numbers?
When you get calls from a bunch of different areas.
Yes.
And then they'll call and you can hear them hang up from one number.
Yeah.
So when I hear them hang up, I hang up.
Yeah, me too.
And
They
usually,
use our area code,
Yeah.
910.
yeah, because they're trying to think. They want you to think that it's
And
something
then it
local,
be
and they think that
out
it's.
910.
So they'll want you to think that
From
it's.
another, area code.
They call me, my area code 714, they call me all the time.
Because here's the catch that I get. So my phone number is an 828 number because I got my phone number years ago when I lived in Alexander County.
I got mine in Wadesboro.
I live in Durham County now. Those are 919 numbers that I should be getting important calls from because I've lived here for 9 years now. I should be getting important calls from Raleigh and Durham with 919 numbers, but they're always calling me from 828. Because that's where my number's from. They're doing the spoofing. They're calling from a number that looks like it's for a local.
Right.
That way I'll look at it and say, oh, I was expecting a call today. Because we all expect calls. We expect calls from our doctor's office, from our from those folks.
Yeah.
So they want you to think that it might be the call you're expecting. And that's the catch here.
So what's up with the healthcare?
Mm-hmm.
The healthcare, you know the healthcare, they be calling you,
Mhm.
and it don't even be them.
How do you know it's United? I mean,
It says healthcare on the,
It come up, mine, I do that too, mine come up on my
I would go
screen.
in and so that's where
Healthcare, it be United Healthcare.
Yeah, cause then it be, and then if, usually when they call my phone, they would say, well, about your insurance and stuff, I get a few calls, and then from United Care, Healthcare too, and then it mostly be talking about your insurance.
Maybe Trump, yeah.
I would call, if you're getting that, I would go
But I
look
told him
up the
I'm
customer
good,
service
911.
number from like United, and I would ask them, how are you gonna contact me if there's issues with my account? Are you gonna call me? Because and to avoid this, me specifically, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. I call I have it so that if Blue Cross wants to give me anything, I get it by mail. So I know that if somebody calls me saying, hey, it's me, Blue Cross, I know from the get-go, because they will give you, these healthcare providers, most of the time will have to give you, just because people don't have cell phones, and those, still, like, they'll give you those options for written stuff. So ask them about that. So if you're getting those calls, I would just go to their customer service line, just find it online, give them a call and say, how are you contacting me if I have issues with this? Because that'll just give you some peace of mind to know.
Okay.
And just kind of paying attention to those kinds of things. Other questions? Got a couple of minutes. Well, cool. Well, if not, I will leave. I have a bunch of copies of my card. I will leave them here. If you have any questions that pop up, if you have anything that I didn't address, or just a
But
question.
it's on topic,
Yeah.
no way. So how y'all offer this?
Yep.
Do y'all have any other programs or seminars that y'all are currently offering that could benefit our seniors as well?
We do have many presentations, actually. So we currently have presentations. Let me just try to think through our current, we'll call it inventory, because as you might guess, when you work for a state agency, our communications team has to approve just about everything that is presented. So we currently offer, like I said, this presentation. We have a presentation on online safety that is more so tailored toward caregivers. So, it could be tailored toward older people, but typically it's tailored toward parents, maybe grandparents to an extent, but children specifically. We also have that presentation specifically to give to young children. So kind of the idea that we're going to start doing in the fall is going to schools when schools get back in, and we'll go to a PTA meeting, and we'll have one person from our office will present.
And we do have folks who are caregivers here, but
Yeah.
currently we're offering a lecture series once Wednesday a month from the Alzheimer's Association for caregivers.
Yeah.
Caregiver support group is getting ready to start up, and so that
Yeah.
could benefit a lot of our folks that are caregivers
Absolutely.
and also have those grandchildren.
Mhm.
So
we have that. We have, what else do we have presentation-wise? Not necessarily like directly kind of related to the center itself, but just if you have if you find it interesting. We have a couple presentations. One of them is just kind of a general DOJ, which call it Working for You. If you were really interested in the first 5 minutes when I was talking about all the things our office does, think about what if that was a whole hour. And I know what you're thinking, that sounds really boring. Every time I give that presentation, though, people end up just being like, wow. So we have a presentation on that. We have a presentation on our work on, if you've watched the news in the last couple months, you might have heard about the sexual assault kit backlog, which is a policy initiative that our office has been working on. So we have a presentation on that. And I think those are all off the top of my head. But we also, those are the ones that we have that are like pre-approved, that we can just, if somebody calls and says, I need a presentation, we say, all right, I'll be there. We are able to tailor things. So if you specifically want to do a presentation about like opioids, like we have someone in our office who can come and kind of be a little bit more specialized.
All right. Guys, did y'all find anything helpful today?
Yeah, I did.
I know that
Thank you so
y'all
much.
showed real interest in the first little bit of what he was sharing about what they do. I know that we're real big on education here, because I say education is the key to knowledge, to helping ourselves and knowing how to protect ourselves.
Right.
So if y'all like, I'll reach out and we'll get that one scheduled. I'm not sure when we can, but hopefully we can take advantage of this partnership and keep providing advocacy education for you guys. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.